So the game has been out a while. I thought it'd be a good idea to update the who should you pick in your rookie summons type of video, okay? Because there is Hector, Valkyrie, Valkyrie, Hydras, Mathesia, did I say Hector already? Evra and Mulhex. Okay, so we have a pretty good amount of, there's 7 different legendary heroes. The game has changed. There has been buffs, there has been nerfs, there's been new content. Some of the older content's a little bit easier. So long story short, let's talk about it. Now, first and foremost, when the game just came out, we're going to talk about Hydras first. When the game first came out, Hydras was considered probably the most OP, and there was several reasons why. First and foremost, she has AoE on basically all of her abilities. She has speed down, which was thought to be quite good at the time. I got to sneeze. I got to... Oh, wait, is there another one? Okay, back to the video. So, speed down was thought to be pretty good at the time. It's since been learned speed down's not quite as good as we all thought it really was. But then you also have the passive of, like, you do continual bonus damage. Here's the thing. We all realized that the AoE blue damage wasn't really quite that important, but then they buffed her and brought her back into relevance. So I think you can actually pick Hydras if you want. I think she's a top 3 pick currently. I don't think she's number 1. She might not be number 2, and we're going to debate about that currently. Okay, so that's Hydras. All right, if you want to pick her, I think she's top 3 in my personal opinion. Okay, now let's talk about the other people in the top 3 before we kind of debate the losers of the group. Number 1 was always considered Mathesia. After people realized that Hydras wasn't number 1, Mathesia kind of became number 1. Me and Kyra Mobile have been a pretty big proponent of thinking that Mathesia is the number 1 pick. And I think I'm going to stand by that. I think as the game stands, Mathesia is still completely busted. So if you're wondering who's the number 1 pick that you're trying to get in your legendary rerows, it is still Mathesia in my own personal opinion. Okay, it's too hard to realize that there's no way to really get around the revive. Revive's so strong in this game because when you revive, you still get your turn. It's not like you have to skip the turn or anything like that. And then in Arena, you can use Mathesia to revive a really good AoE nuker like Euron or something like that later when you get some good nukers. And then you can still have damage even if they get killed. So Mathesia, top tier, also synergizes with basically all of the best heroes like Brand. So it's still probably the best pick to go with Mathesia, and once again, the majority of the reason this is the only person that's got a revive, and then plus she's got one of the best sustains, which is just healing people their max HP from them just doing their own move as long as they have a buff on them, and most of the time you're going to have a buff on them because, like I say, she pairs with people like Brand, who you're going to want to put with her. So, Mathesia's still probably number 1, which leaves that spot to kind of argue for top 3. Okay, well, who's number 2 fighting with Hydras? I think this one's different than it used to be. I actually think this one... Let me see if I can find her. There we go. I think this one's actually Valkyrie. And there's a couple reasons why. Valkyrie was one usable in the Lord of Oceans event, which made me realize that she has something that is very interesting. Like if you look at the way it works here. Okay, look, grants a bonus turn upon defeating an enemy, but if you look at the passive, reduces all ability cooldowns by 1 turn upon the death of an enemy. When you have her ascended, grants attack up and reduces all abilities by 1 turn upon the death of an enemy as well. But that's upon the death of an enemy, okay, a 1 turn cooldown. There's no cooldown on the cooldown, meaning if you AoE and kill 4 people, the cooldown is 0 and you can go again and do it again. So we have sort of a Nathalia-like AoE, and Nathalia is considered one of the best heroes in the game. This is also very good because she can heal the damage that it cost herself for even doing the move right there off the basic. And then you also have defense down on the basic, which I've actually been sleeping on. It's better than I originally thought. So I think Valkyrie is in the top 3. I think it probably goes Mathesia and then Valkyrie, Hydras, and you can really make an argument for either one. Maybe Hydras is a little better, but Valkyrie I think is starting to pick up steam as more and more content comes out and as people get better and better gear. Now, that leaves us with the bottom 4, and I don't think it's close. I think there's an order to this. If you're asking me the next best one, it's going to be Evra easily. I think Evra is definitely the next best one. Fantastic hero for AoE, really good for wave clear. However, she's also good single target damage, and she also has, if you look here, she has bleeding, which is fairly rare. You also have a way of you can removing a positive effect too, so she's going to help you in some of the dungeons where that's actually important. I'll give you one such example early on, like the light dungeon where you can't let him get 4 buffs, or he's going to one-shot your Hopipo. For instance, in the beginning, right in the beginning, if you have a light hero like Mary or something, you pose a free-to-play, and you need those stones. She can help you with that. Her ultimate hits really, really, really hard also. She's also green, and trying to get good, consistent green damage can be hard. And she also pairs with one of the best gear sets, which is the curse set. So her having bonus attacks from the curse set also triggers her passive, which gives her more AoE, etc. So big fan of Evra. I think she comes in at number 4, just because I think Hydras is better than she used to be, and I think, personally, I think I'm sleeping on Valkyrie, and Valkyrie is better than I thought. Okay, so if not, Evra could fit into that top 3 for sure. But the rest of these aren't really close. I think Birth is probably the worst one out of all of them if we look. And then it would probably be Mulhex and then Hector. Let's talk about Hector real quick since he's the next best one. Hector has a pretty cool combo. It's basically if he throws his axes and they're not in his hand, he gets a bonus turn for each axe he's already thrown that's not in his hand. And what happens when he throws his axes? Well, he increases their damage taken. If he hits the same person twice with his axes, then he's going to increase their damage taken by 2. He also does focus up on himself before he throws the axe, which was an amazing buff that happened to him, making it easier to land those increased damage, which was a big problem in his kit before, because we'd have to build some focus in order to actually get the damage. Great buff to Hector, actually. And so his combo is quite good. He's good burst, good with Zitlin. He's really strong against the green clan boss. He's my primary hitter. My biggest damage run ever was done with Zitlin plus a Hector combo. So just keep that in mind. I actually think he's amazing in the clan boss. He was the hero I started with when I started the game on my main account. Okay, just so you know. Now, after this, it goes down to Birth and Mulhex, and I want to vomit talking about Birth, but you know what? So be it. Let's talk about Mulhex first. So Mulhex is a hero that I haven't seen utilized too great. 200% damage to an enemy, applies defense down for 2 turns, grant attack up to all team members for 2 turns. The problem is he's a legendary and he's doing the weak version of defense down and the weak version of attack up. Okay, if you look at the A2 here, 100% damage to all enemies. If this character has attack up, then launches a bonus attack with this ability. That's great, works with curse stat as well. Not bad, AoE, bonus attack. Okay, so be it. 100% damage to an enemy with 30% chance to apply defense down. So what we have here is 2 moves that apply the same debuff, one of which is just a flat-out worse version than the one that Valkyrie has, and he just gives normal attack up. He feels like an epic to me. I don't like him. I think other people have proven that he has some use. I just don't like him. I don't think he's as good as the requirements it takes to get him to be good. Like, I think any gear and all this stuff, resources you put on them, you could have put on almost anybody else and have a better setup, okay? Same thing goes to Birth, but I will say that I'm not an arena person, and I do know that people are saying in Arena Birth does have some uses. The reason being, if you look at the way it works, when he dies, he gets revived, resets the cooldown of his abilities, and obviously his ultimate 280% damage to an enemy refreshes his tray if the enemy is killed. So you can see he's kind of a single target nuker, dies, pops back up. The problem is when he dies, he doesn't get a bonus turn. So he dies and then still has to wait his turn. He gets killed again. It's typically quite over. Yes, you can make him tanky. Yes, he does have S tier attack. And yes, he can probably work in Arena pretty decently. He's red. He would beat some of the green people. I can understand that. No, he's not the person I would start with. I think it's too difficult to get him to work. That's just my take on these 7 different heroes. I do believe, if you're wondering just the breakdown, Mathesia number 1, Valkyrie or Hydras number 2, Evra number 3, you know, the one after that, and then it's probably Hector, and then whoever you want after that. So you're really looking for Mathesia. If you don't get Mathesia, Hydras or Valkyrie, Evra, you get any of those, you could still be decently happy. And that's the breakdown. Hopefully this helped you. Leave a comment if it did help. Like the video if you want to help me in return, and subscribe if you want to see more of me. Love y'all. See you on the next video.